Okay, my name's Stephen Jones. I'm currently the attack coach for the Welsh rugby team. I was born in Carmarthen, born in Aberystwyth, but lived, in Carmarthen for most of my life. Sort of went to a Welsh-speaking school there, primary school, which is Ysgol o Dderwen, and then went to a secondary school called Ysgol Bro Myrddin. I was very fortunate at the age of 18 to play rugby for Llanelli, and the game went professional in '96. So that's sort of what propelled me into professional sport, and I've been very, very fortunate to be involved in it for till this present day. I obviously finished playing about 6 years ago after having the honour of playing for over 350 games for Llanelli. Played over 100 times for Wales and played for the British and Irish Lions as well. And now get the pleasure of coaching the Welsh rugby team, having coached the Scarlets for 4 years and Wasps Rugby Club for 2 years.
Thank you. So, ready, guys? Just a couple of questions here for you. So,
No problem.
Number one, sorry, come Caitlin.
What do you make of the process of writing your own book?
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I didn't quite hear you then, sorry. The microphone didn't quite pick it up.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, be loud.
What did you make of the process of writing your own book?
What did I make of the process of what, sorry?
Writing your own book.
Oh, writing my own book. It was interesting because obviously you're looking back on your career, something you don't often do in sport. Sport is very much the here and now and the present and making sure you win the next game. So it was lovely to look back really on where things started. A lot of good memories, enjoyment, people I worked with, good people I worked with, lots of skills you learn along the way. Obviously, certain games you lost, which play a huge motivation factor in propelling you in your career, really. But look back, it was nice to look back. That was the best thing when we put the book together, because obviously you look back at so many fond memories and great people you worked with, and it was nice to jot those things down on paper.
What do you encourage young people, male and female, to play rugby and why?
Yeah, I think first of all, sport's very, very healthy. You know, it's great to play. It's you know, for teamwork, for confidence, for social skills, for your health. You know, I think it's awesome for young people to play sport, whether it be rugby, football. But I'm obviously biased towards rugby in the fact that, you know, the teamwork element, you know, the problem solving, the camaraderie you develop is very, very important. So I definitely encourage youngsters to play rugby.
What is your most favourite game you played and why?
My most favourite, I loved obviously playing for Wales, and we played a game in 2005 now, which was a long time ago, against Ireland, which was to win the Grand Slam. A lot of that team had been together for a number of years and hadn't had much success, but we were a young group of players, and every year we were getting better and better. But ultimately, you play professional sport to win and to win trophies. And for us to have come through the tougher times and then to experience the ultimate, which is winning a Grand Slam, was something very, very special. And the last game was against Ireland in Cardiff. Beautiful sunny day in March, and you know, to see the town. You know, obviously the stadium was packed, but I think there's 30,000 people outside the stadium as well. You know, to see Cardiff absolutely rocking that day was something very, very special.
Who was the hardest player you played against and why?
Why? Okay, hardest. Do you mean, what do you mean by hardest? Do you mean the best player to play against, or physically the hardest, or the dirtiest?
Both.
all of them. Okay, right. I'll start with the best player I played against. Okay, so the best player I played against was Dan Carter. he was immense. Purely because he had it all. He had an amazing running game. I could see space. His kicking game was awesome. He could defend. You know, he had gas. You know, he was a very quick player. So he had it all. So Dan Carter was the best player I played against. Physically, you probably wouldn't go too far away from someone like Jerry Collins, who played in the back row for New Zealand. He wasn't the biggest player on the pitch, but just pound for pound strength, he was incredible. And so his ball carrying was probably the best I played against. And then the dirtiest, well, I'm not sure. There's a few guys over the years who like to put a cheap shot on an outside half and let them know they were there. So there's quite a few guys I played against who weren't the cleanest, so to speak. But I would say one of the hardest from, and I would be Lewis Moody when he used to play against England, because every time we used to try and kick the ball or clear the ball, he'd always be diving at your knees. So you're always conscious of him flying through the air like a torpedo at you, really.
Who or what has the greatest impact on Wales' recent success?
Fantastic question. So obviously we've had some good success in Wales since 2005 onwards. You know, Grand Slam 2008, 2012, 19, and you know, a couple of championships in between. I think there's a lot of people who contributed to that. You know, Steve Hansen laid some amazing foundations before the 2005 Grand Slam. Mike Ruddock obviously took that on. What Warren achieved with Wales was superb in the sense he made us really mentally tough and very, very, hard team to beat, and he drove standards physically. So he's had a huge impact, obviously, and the fact he's in this job for 12 years, which is incredible to be at the helm of Welsh rugby for that period. You know, he's done something which was remarkable, really. But lots of people contributed to the success. But I think you can't look too far from what Warren's done in his last 12 years with Wales.
The Lions tour coming up. What is your greatest memory or event when you were selected for the Lions?
First of all, it's amazing. It's as simple as that. You are, it's the pinnacle. It's what every international rugby player wants, and to get selected for that tour. And you look at it this next month, and July is basically you're going into the World Champions backyard, 8 games there. Everybody wants a shot at you. It's going to be incredibly tough, but it's what you play for and what you look forward to as a player. And I'm over the moon. Obviously, we got 10 players on that trip. Obviously, I think George would have been there as well. So as a coach, you want to propel as many of your boys onto the Lions touring party as possible. But it is an incredible experience. The honour of playing with the best players in Britain and Ireland. Guys you look at week in, week out, and you play against them. They're the guys you're trying to stop having a good game because they're the most influential and best players. And now suddenly, before the game, you're looking around the change rooms and they're on your side. So it's fantastic to have the honour to play with those guys. And I just think for me, it was a huge privilege, to go on that trip, and you're sort of grateful to everybody who's contributed to helping you along the way, whether it be your parents who take you to your rugby matches when you're young, or you have your PE teacher supporting you at school, your club coaches. It's just an acknowledgement that everybody's helped you to achieve what you along that journey, really.
Who is the best player you ever coached and why?
Best player I ever coached? Right, that's a good question. Now, I suppose it depends how you define best, doesn't it? Because best might mean be able to perform on the pitch and be the best on the pitch, or it might be you get a player who you see there, but you work hard with that player and he has a growth or a mindset to become better and works incredibly hard in training, and he maximizes the potential he has to be the best. You might have other players then who have the best quality at getting and improving people around them, and are hugely important to a team environment. So I look at a lot of players, and I've had the opportunity to work with some great, players. So I probably take facets from all of them. Like you look at Liam Williams, who plays a fullback. He's probably got the biggest heart of a rugby player that I've worked with. I then look at someone like Elliot Daly, who I coached in Wasps, who would go down the Lions. He had amazing natural talent. God had been very kind to him in the natural talent he'd given. And then you look at someone like Zamit Rees. Now he's probably the quickest person that I've worked with over over 100 meters. So you sort of take elements out of all your players because they all contribute in different ways. But very fortunate to work with some brilliant players, and more importantly, brilliant people, because that's what it's about: working with good people, trying to make them better. Because every year the game changes. We have to improve, work hard, have an open mindset, right? How do I challenge myself? How do I get better? So I'm very fortunate that I work with good people.
What or who inspired you to play rugby growing up?
It's interesting because in the primary school I went to, we weren't allowed to play rugby. It was all football in the school, and then you sort of got into rugby as I got older. And then it got to sort of 15, and I had a decision to make, just purely because rugby fixtures were clashing with football fixtures. So decided to go along the rugby path, just because of the group of mates I was playing with at the time and the enjoyment I had from it, really. But I suppose growing up in West Wales, most people want you to give rugby a go at some point, and I was very grateful that I enjoyed playing with a good group of people, good coach, and because you have the enjoyment, you want to go back to training again, you want to go back to play, you want to learn and want to get better, and probably that's what inspired me, really, playing with some good mates.
What is Wales' goal for the 2023 World Cup?
To win it. It's as simple as that. We have a very good squad of players. We have lots of world class players. Between now and then, we've got to, from a coaching perspective, we have to get as many players as we can in that pool, so we can try and get more youngsters coming through quicker, try and get the older boys playing for longer. But we're very blessed with the quality of rugby players we have.
With a big focus on Welsh women rugby, do you as coaches get involved or provide feedback and points for improvement to the women's international team?
Now that's a very good question. Now, since we've come in this job, we've done our second Six Nations, but there's been, after the first Six Nations, obviously with the global pandemic of COVID, sort of everything's been handbraked. So regarding how we've been able to work as a coaching group and interact with our 20s coaches, our women's coaches, it's been very limited, I'm afraid, at the moment. But I think and hope moving forward that will all change. But that's purely because of the sort of COVID pandemic. Basically, sort of every team is trained in very much its own bubble. And then there hasn't been much interaction or crossover as yet between the coaches, but I'm sure that will happen moving forward. Because it's important to share ideas, because we're learning all the time. The game changes all the time. The game evolves, so it's important we share our ideas.
In your opinion, who are the up-and-coming stars of the future of Wales?
Well, I think you've seen a few of them go on the Lions already. I think we made a conscious effort in the autumn series to play a lot of our good youngsters. So we had obviously we gave some game time to Louis Ahmed Rees. So he's only 20 and he's gone on to the Lions. You have Johan Lloyd, who's playing over in Bristol. He's only 20 as well. But he's a very good and talented rugby player. And that's just to name a couple. But we have a good conveyor belt of youngsters coming through. Our job as coaches is to fast track that process, and how we develop them quickly is key. And obviously we need to expose them to international rugby to maximise that. So those are two backs that I would mention who are very special players.
All good. All good. Thank you very much, Stephen. That's it.
Absolute pleasure. I hope everybody enjoyed.
Yeah.
I'm
What do you say, guys?
I'm good.
Absolute
Cheers.
pleasure.